Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 198 of the Terminal City FC podcast, part of the Area 51 Sports Network. Josh Ray joined alongside Nathan Dirk, as per usual, talking all things football. No Whitecaps action to talk about this week and next week, pretty much, because international break and the game against Orlando was moved to the next international window due to them being in Leagues Cup and due to them playing the third place game in Leagues Cup. But we got some Whitecaps minor stuff to talk about, and we'll talk about the big man, Thomas Muller. He's seen training back at Bayern Munich, but don't really look too much into it. He's just trying to get, up to speed, up to fitness, trying to stay fit. And apparently he's picking up some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the man's moving halfway across the world. He's got to pick up some clothes, right?
Yeah, he said in an interview throughout the outlet, but he was staying.
Yeah, he's just going to visit the outlet stores by the airport, right?
Yeah, but he wants to take his own stuff to Vancouver, and he'll be back. Should be back sometime in this week, actually, to train with the team. And fellow new signing Sebastian Schonlau, he got some minutes with WFC2 in their 4-1 win at Swangard over Portland. Though he did get subbed off after 30 minutes, and they didn't really say why. Maybe he was injured, maybe he wasn't, hopefully not.
Hoping not. I'm hoping it's just a matter of right now just giving him minutes, also managing load time. Because you got to remember, coming from the German league setup, I guess his former team just got promoted back to the first league. He hasn't played, right?
Yeah, just
so this is preseason to him.
Yeah. And maybe they were managing his minutes and making sure, just taking precautions just in case. And news surrounding a former Vancouver Whitecap who wasn't here very long. I think it was almost a year ago that he signed with the Whitecaps. Stuart Armstrong, who recently was released by Sheffield Wednesday, is heading back to Scotland to join Aberdeen.
Yeah. So he had been released earlier in the summer. I think it was Sheffield Wednesday that he had been with, right? Was it Wednesday or was it United?
Wednesday.
Yeah, I don't want to get that mixed up. We had that snafu before, right? Yeah. So yeah, Aberdeen, sure. I mean, it's going to be an interesting year in Scotland because we're not too sure what's going to go on with Rangers and Celtic. Yeah. But Rangers look like a dumpster fire. Celtic has started to kind of fix them. They finally got themselves a striker in Iheanacho, a name that we'll be familiar with. Yeah, so Stuart Armstrong heading up to a landscape that he's obviously familiar with. Be interesting to see what he is going to be able to do with it. One other thing I should mention is we had an opportunity last week at training, we talked with Axel Schuster, and we asked him about that. Even though the window is closed for signing players, the roster freeze date is still upcoming. So you can still sign free agents and put them into your roster. We were asking him about if there was any likelihood of that. He seemed to quash the idea of bringing a player from outside in, but especially with the situation going on with Brian White, who does look like this hamstring is a bit more serious. He is likely to miss at least 3 games after the window, including the second match against Forge in the Canadian Championship. He did mention there is a possibility where they'll take someone from Whitecaps 2 and give them a full senior level contract to join the first team. That is something you can still do. He was interesting because he was, again, kind of complaining a little bit about the rules is even after the roster freeze where you can still sign players to those short-term contracts, you cannot sign any of your academy or your second team players to a full-term contract after the roster freeze, even though it's the same organization.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense.
No.
I mean, it's the same organization. And speaking of Whitecaps FC2, I'm just looking here. There's a guy, Rayam Elomi, 8 goals, 6 assists in 15 games as a 17-year-old.
He has had 1 or 2 short-term contracts already this year. So I think he is definitely a name that if someone was going to make the jump up, absolutely somebody you consider.
Yeah. And Nelson Pierre is with the first team, but he hasn't gotten any minutes yet. So
not yet. Who knows? If you're going to likely be starting Rios up there right now for the next few matches, I think Pierre is definitely a guy that's going to be on the bench. You might see him come out for minutes. Canadian Championship, definitely if they're winning at BC Place. I think you definitely see something. But right now it's just kind of wait and see. Roster freeze date, I'm not entirely sure what the date is.
I believe it's the 13th. Let me just double check. MLS roster freeze.
September 12th.
Oh, I was close enough.
Yeah, so I mean, we're 9 days away.
Yep. So we'll see if the Whitecaps do anything, but I think it's rather unlikely.
Yeah.
Unless it's a W.
If anything, it's going to be interim. Yeah.
Yeah. So Leagues Cup final in Seattle between Seattle Sounders and Inter Miami, and Seattle was just all over Miami. They destroyed them 3-0 in front of a packed Lumen Field. Miami didn't have a single shot on target. Their passes were so off. Miami's defense was pretty bad as Seattle tore them apart. Former CPL player Jose De Rosario, of all people, got the first goal.
Yeah.
Alex Roldan with a late penalty, and Paul Rothrock sealed the deal. Brian Schmetzer, Seattle coach, joked with the media before the game. Well, they have Lionel Messi, the greatest player the world has ever seen, but we got Paul Rothrock.
Did you see what the organization did before the game with the jerseys?
Yeah, they trade your Messi jersey for a Paul Rothrock jersey, and it turns out that was worth it.
First off, I love that promotion. I love that promotion. It's great. I hope more organizations do it. I hope the Whitecaps do it if they ever play Miami again, and you can get yourself, I don't know, a Badwall jersey or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that he scored in that game, those jerseys are just so much more special.
Yeah, just Miami looks so bad. Like the attack.
But the thing is Miami had opportunities to get back in the game. You're right, they had no shots on target, but they had so many chances. Yeah. And they just couldn't put the ball in the net. Messi had
one over the bar.
Yeah. So many that just went just shy of either the crossbar or the 2 posts. So you can't say that they didn't have opportunities. It's just they didn't take them.
Yeah, they just couldn't capitalize. And some you might say, oh, yeah, that's Lumen Field turf. That definitely played a factor because the passes by Messi to Suarez were very poor. And we saw that when they were here in Vancouver. The turf definitely did play a factor. But the big story was after the game, after the final whistle. Inter Miami went rogue. They went Hulk mode and tried to fight everyone on the pitch. And Luis Suarez, classic Luis Suarez, except this time it's not a player. He spits on a member of the Seattle staff.
Yeah.
And it was clear. Everyone saw it.
In the melee that happened, first off, he grabbed, I'm trying to remember who it is, but he grabbed a Seattle player by the neck and was hauling him around. That led to the kind of like the benches unloading, and that's why you had everyone kind of in the middle. Busquets, it looks like he tries to punch someone. I think he connects with a half-handed slap, but still, don't slap someone. And then, going after the I believe it was someone on Seattle security. Yeah. And not only did he spit on him, he stepped on the guy's foot the guy was trying to walk away, like disengage. So he steps on his foot so he can't get away, and then he spits in his face. I can't understand why this player has been given so many chances when we have seen time and time again he simply refuses to learn.
Yeah, yes, I get he's one of the best strikers of a generation, but his attitude, his character, biting guys, the whole handball thing against Ghana.
Well, there was the whole thing. What was it? Patrice Evra as well.
You got the racism
Yeah,
situation. He
three
calls him
different biting
diving and
incidents in
whining.
his career. Three
Yeah,
different biting incidents in his career.
he's notorious for this, and it's a disgrace, especially now, like where he spits on a senior guy.
Yeah,
The guy was
we're
like,
still waiting to hear what the fallout is going to be of this.
the league hasn't said anything yet.
The league hasn't said anything. Now, here's the thing. From what I've been hearing, because this was League's Cup, anything that happens doesn't transfer over to the league, to MLS.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case. This is, again, I'm hearing it from multiple areas, but it's second, third-hand information from and everywhere I've been hearing. Because League's Cup and MLS, or because League's Cup is controlled by MLS, it's their product.
Yeah, it's their
that can be different. It's not like, say, FA Cup is, different than Premier League, right? So it's going to be interesting to see, how the hammer comes down on him and to what extent they're able to do something. Now, and here's the other thing is, Miami is going to complain about anything.
They will complain.
They're going to complain about anything happening.
And Tom Bogert tweeted that Leagues Cup organizing committee is still reviewing the whole thing. That committee only sees the Leagues Cup, and he also said that in the past, MLS has issued additional suspensions from other competitions. RSL head coach Mike Petke received a 3-game suspension in MLS for a Leagues Cup outburst on a referee, and Clint Dempsey was given a 3-game suspension for ripping the referee's notebook in a U.S. Open Cup game.
Good. Well, then that should be out there right there. Especially if it's a U.S. Open Cup, because that's run by, I know, MLS kind of has their fingers in it a little bit, but that's a U.S. soccer thing.
Yeah, but they better give Suarez some sort of harsh punishment for this, because it's just so this. The whole act by Miami is just sore loser energy.
I'm trying to remember. So he got banned in 2014, which I believe was the last big one for biting.
Yeah,
9 games, but he was also suspended from all soccer-related activities for 4 months.
I remember that, yeah. He was allowed to train, but he couldn't play games.
Oh, you can never stop someone in training. That's basically just walking down to your park, down the street, patch your grass with a ball, right? You can do whatever you want. Does this outweigh, or is this just now you have to go more than what this is? And that begs the second question. What is an appropriate response for this, knowing the player's history?
His history. That's what I'm thinking too.
Right.
In other leagues,
if you look at this in NHL terms, right? Let's say this is, I don't know, back in the day, Rafi Torres, right?
Yeah.
I mean, by the end of everything going on with Rafi Torres, I think he was getting 6-8 month suspensions.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change the behavior. So what will change the behavior? Also, at this late stage of the career, is anything going to work?
Yeah. Ideally, it would be a lengthy suspension for Suarez, because spitting on a guy, obviously not acceptable. It's the way he handled the whole melee after. Just Miami in general, just losing it. Again, sore loser energy. And then it's not even the team, it's the fans outside leaving the field after the game, fighting Seattle fans in the parking lot or wherever it was.
There was a picture of the concourse, or not a video that was going around the concourse at Lumen Field, and it was Miami fan. It was, you could see very easily who the instigators were. It was, it was Miami fans going after the Seattle fans. And it was interesting, saying instigators. Did you see Mascherano's comments at the end of the match about the Suarez thing, where he said, if there's smoke, there's fire, right? Like he said, basically, if there's someone who is fighting, then there's someone who's an instigator. So he's blaming the security guard over it.
You're blaming an elderly security guard over
the guy that was trying to walk away.
Yeah, he was trying to walk away.
I don't know.
I don't know. Mascherano was delusional there.
You know what? we were talking about suspensions on Suarez. There's other player individuals. Busquets, I think, is going to have to get something as well. But the club is going to need some sort of suspension. It's going to need to carry weight.
Fines. As a for the club as a whole.
Fines, yes, but I almost want take away a DP spot for a year.
Yeah.
Right, or do something that it affects you in a way. Because I mean, if it's a fine, Miami doesn't care; they just pay it, right? The fine doesn't matter to them, unless you're starting to put fines into the billions of dollars, and then you got a court case. That'll never happen. You have to do something where it's actually going to affect change. So you affect how the team runs.
Points deductions, possibly. I doubt it, though.
I doubt it too. It's not going to happen. It's
different competition.
Too inventive, maybe.
Yeah.
I was reading an interesting article, and it was a guy basically looking. I think it was Sports Illustrated. It was Sports Illustrated, The Athletic, but he was basically saying, like, ever since Inter Miami came into the league, other teams in the league have kind of looked at them as the villain. But Miami, they would kind of flirt with that line, but they would never push over it. And then they had the skill to back it up, like, ending up winning the Leagues Cup when they first came in with Messi, winning MLS Cup, things like that. Or Supporter Shield, I think was the one year.
Yeah, they were Supporter Shield last year.
Yeah, but they never really lived up to that name that everyone was just waiting for them to live up to. They've lived up to it now. They are now the villains of MLS.
Yeah, they kind of always were, but that shows that
that's just it. It's like it's like everyone was waiting for them to be it, but they just kind of flirted with that line, never quite stepping over it, or like just a toe, right? Enough to kind of piss people off, and then we forgot about it within a week. No one's forgetting about this. This is going to be a stain on that club for a long time.
Yeah, it's Miami versus everybody in MLS. And part of me wants Vancouver Whitecaps versus Inter Miami MLS Cup final at BC Place just for the entertainment.
I mean, yeah. Part of me wants to, if there's a final with Vancouver, to be at someone like a Cincinnati or a Philly, just because I want a good game. I don't know if you get a good game with Miami.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I know Whitecaps did phenomenal against them in Champions Cup. So who knows? Maybe having Miami is something you want because you have the expectation that you can, win that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they need to be right.
Yeah. It's just it's the disgrace from Miami all around. And yeah, they are the villains of MLS. They are a team that people will already rooting against. People want to see fall, and the playoffs and the rest of the regular season games involving Miami, they're going to be hostile. Say that. Moving back to Canada, another friendly for Canada has been announced during the November international window. This will be in Toronto at BMO Field against Ecuador, 22nd ranked team in the world, just 3 spots ahead of Canada. Of course, they have the likes of Moises Caicedo, Piero Hincapié, and former Vancouver Whitecap Pedro Vite. Ecuador are a good team, one of the rising teams in CONMEBOL. They did well at the last World Cup, and a young team, a team that's ready to get over the hump, and a really good test for Canada at home.
Canada's only ever played Ecuador once before, and I think it ended up in a 2-2 draw. I can't remember when it was, but it was I don't think it was 10 years ago, but somewhere within that window.
Somewhere there.
This is the sort of team Canada should be playing. I mean, not only is it a team in CONCACAF, it is a team that is ranked higher than you. Canada's 28th right now. I think Ecuador's 25th.
Yeah, 25th.
Yeah, so you're playing a team that fits within kind of right around your area. You take a look at Wales and Romania, who they're going to be playing in this upcoming window right away. Wales is really close to them. I think Wales is like 31st,
yeah, Wales
32nd.
Is close. Romania is close. Back.
That's a good. But Romania is like 40 something. So I mean, if you want to play opposition that's going to really, really test you, this is the sort of opposition you need to play. I still think playing a team like Romania is good because you want to play different playing styles, and playing that part of the world is still a very, very good test. But Ecuador, I think that's good, right? If you're going to play in CONCACAF, we don't need to always be playing United States or Mexico. There are other teams in CONCACAF that are very, very good that you can have competition against.
Yeah.
Ecuador's good.
Yeah, good to play a team from CONMEBOL. And Ecuador, I believe they already qualified for the World Cup. So that's a bonus.
I don't know, actually. I know
Pretty sure they did.
There's qualifiers for CONCACAF coming up, I think, starting this window for the teams, like not for like Canada, USA, Mexico that are already in, but that coming up.
Just taking a, yeah, they already qualified.
Awesome. There you go.
So yeah, that's why there makes sense for a friendly between those two teams.
Yeah.
Canada and Ecuador.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but we got friendlies coming up, as mentioned, Romania and Wales. The team is in Bucharest, however you pronounce it, for a friendly in 2 days, September 5th, against Romania. And I wrote about this a little bit for Area 51 Sports Network. There's a lot we can learn from these friendlies for Canada, and a lot of questions that won't be answered during this window, but hopefully have a step towards being answered.
Yeah.
And talked about last week the roster with Marshall Rudy, who's done quite well with Charlotte, and Charlotte are a hot team in MLS.
Yeah,
he's a big reason why. Jaden Hibbert, the goalkeeper, he was on that last MLS match day, I believe, for Atlanta. Junior Hoylett's back in the squad, and
that is a name I never thought I'd see back. So that's an interesting one.
But I think the big one is, can Canada prove they can beat these teams or go to toe with these big teams that, outside of CONCACAF?
Yeah, because both of these games, though, the first one, obviously, like you said, Bucharest, the second one is in Swansea, I believe. Those are going to be very loud, very soccer mad stadiums, and ones that, Canada's used to playing in opposition heavy stadiums. They've done it before. We've done it in CONCACAF all the time, especially playing anywhere in Mexico, Central America. Until recently, Canada had to play against opposition heavy stadiums in Canada.
Yep.
So I don't think that will phase them.
No, it shouldn't.
It's going to be a matter of the style of play. And I know with Wales in particular, they've had a few players that have left the squad. Joe Rondon most recently. So, the games are for grabs. In fact, I think there's 4 players from Wales that have left the squad.
Be interesting to see how they do without Alistair Johnston. Richie
loss.
Larea can play both flanks, and he's going to be pivotal for these friendlies, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, given his dark arts and everything.
So Wales is going to be playing tomorrow against Kazakhstan, and they've already lost Joe Rondon, Nathan Broadhead, Danny Ward, and Jay De Silva. I don't know if they're going to be coming back for later on to play Canada, but the fact that they've withdrawn, I think tells you right there. Yeah,
and interesting to see where the goals come from besides Jonathan David. Jefferson is not in the squad because of an injury. Tajon Buchanan, obviously, get fresh off his hat trick. He'll be one to watch. Promise David is in the squad.
I promise he just scored.
Tani Oluwase too.
Mm-hmm.
Fresh off his move.
His big move
to Villarreal. Does Marsh go with the 2 striker setup, or does he go with the one? It'll be interesting to see. And also goalkeepers. I assume St. Clair, Crepeau, they'll each play a game.
I kind of feel like it. Yeah.
And depending on how things go, maybe give Hibbert a few minutes, depending on how things go.
I wouldn't mind seeing him for 45 minutes.
Yeah. And just, I really want to learn more about this team in these upcoming friendlies and what they can do, Marsh's system, how they adapt to certain situations, where the goals are going to come from, how
Yeah.
they do missing some top players. Like the league's Gold Cup and the Nations League, it's still fresh. It still hurts, but you got to move on. And these friendlies are a good chance to do so and make improvements and see what's working and see what's not working.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, and also like how Marsh's pressing system will adapt to these Euro teams. It didn't really work in his first game against Netherlands last year, but against France they drew 0-0.
Yeah.
That was the second game in charge.
Yeah.
And I will be watching on Skin of the Game will be on One Soccer and TSN. So if you don't have One Soccer, TSN will be broadcasting the games.
There you go.
And good on TSN for showing these friendlies because these are big tests. Romania and Wales, teams that have played in the Euro competitions and in World Cups before.
A couple of Canadian player movements going on. Kyle Larin has joined Feyenoord, a move that I think the player really needed.
He wanted to get out of Mallorca, and the team wanted him out of there too.
Yeah, which is too bad because when he joined Mallorca for the first little bit, it looked really, really like a great match.
Yeah, but it just hasn't worked out for him for club and country over the past year or two.
Yeah.
And this is a loan deal, by the way, not permanent.
Yeah. Another loan. This one kind of surprised me. Derek Cornelius to Rangers.
Yeah, and we talked about how bad Rangers are. Yeah. I don't know if this is the right move for him now. Maybe he could stabilize that back line. I'm not too sure, but Rangers look like a mess.
I do wonder if this is just Cornelius making sure he's getting the minutes heading into a World Cup year. But to my knowledge, and I haven't been paying that close attention to Ligue 1, but he was getting in the lineup for Marseille, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's a weird deal. He was getting in the lineup for Marseille. Maybe he had a falling out with De Zerbi that we don't know about or something.
Honestly, it seems like every player ends up having a fallout with De Zerbi.
I mean, Kone has, but Kone's attitude also played a part in.
Yeah, but the thing is we've also seen because was De Zerbi just forced Rabiot and another player out just before the window.
So I have a feeling De Zerbi had a role to play in Cornelius moving to Rangers of all teams.
It makes you wonder, right?
Hey, too bad Alistair Johnson ain't healthy. I don't know when the next Old Firm is, but those two in the Old Firm against each other.
Well, the Old Firm just happened, and it was so funny because they were talking about it was a 0-0 match. They said the most interesting point of the match is when a seagull flew in and did an interesting flip.
Yeah, and that goes to show how poor Celtic and Rangers are early this season.
Yeah. When you're fans of the Old Firm are more interested in
the Seagulls
bird watching. I mean,
come on. And this is like one of the biggest football rivalries in the world. So, just looking at the standings here, Celtic are 3-1-0. In league play, they're actually doing not that bad. But Rangers haven't won a game yet, just 4 draws.
Well, also both those teams have now bowed out of Europe, haven't they? Yeah.
Celtic lost to that team from Kazakhstan.
Yeah, that's right.
You talked about last week.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is the right move for Derek Cornelius. Maybe he brings some stability, some new life at Rangers, and he gets some minutes from Russell Martin. I struggled at Southampton. He's struggling at Rangers.
He's a smart defender, so I mean, I think he's an asset wherever he goes. It'll just be.
And for Larin, I feel like this is a one last chance in Europe.
Feyenoord's a good team.
One last chance,
right?
Yeah, Feyenoord's a good team. He's played in the Turkish league before.
I tend to agree with you. It's so that, or he ends up heading back to MLS.
Yeah, and then one last chance to improve. He still belongs with Canada too. These friendlies also.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's up there. He is always going to get selected for
Team Canada. It hasn't really been working for him.
He's always going to get selected because of that pedigree and the fact that him and David always seem to jump over each other who has the most goals for country. But players like Oluwaski, Promise David, feel like those two in particular are moving above him in the pecking order for Team Canada. Jebison,
I feel like they already have.
Still trying to figure him out. but it does feel like Larin is kind of like third or fourth in that striker pecking order right now.
Yeah. One last chance for him to press in Europe. One last chance to prove that he still belongs with Canada,
Yeah.
and just to get his confidence back, because I feel like that's a factor. Because in Mallorca, the fans don't like him. The coaches and management pretty much don't like him. So maybe he wins over the Feyenoord fans in. Sorry, not. I keep thinking they're in Turkey. They're in
Feyenoord, Netherlands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
You're getting it mixed up with like Fenerbahce or something.
Yeah, who sacked Jose Mourinho.
Hey, you know what's so funny? As soon as he got sacked, you're hearing his name back with Man United. And I was like, that's never happening.
Yeah. So best of luck to both Larin and Cornelius in these moves. Larin needed this move. Cornelius, This is a weird one.
Yeah, I know.
Back to Vancouver. So the Vancouver Rise stay hot. 7 matches, unbeaten. And what a time to do it with the playoffs looming.
You know, it was a phenomenal game to be there. It was a great win. It was their first win against the Roses as well in, I believe, four outings so far. Montreal got on the board first. Tanya Boychuk, 15th, 16th minute with a good individual effort in order to give herself space for the shot. Well-deserved goal, but it was really the only opportunity that Roses had throughout that entire first half. It was very much the Rise dictating play, getting the opportunities and moving themselves into space. They didn't have the lead for that long. You had a great killer pass from Quinn up the left to find Holly Ward. Holly Ward cuts inside, something that she doesn't normally do. And it was interesting because we had an opportunity to talk with the women's head coach for the Canadian national team, Casey Stoney, earlier in the week. And we were talking about Holly Ward saying, you know what, she's great, but we want to see more versatility. We want to see her cut inside and use that other foot that she's not as comfortable with. So I was talking to Holly at the end of the game saying, were you paying attention to what Casey was saying? And she was just laughing a little bit, because exactly what Stoney wanted her to do, that was her goal to a T. It was beautiful to see. It was well taken. Smart play. And from there, it was off to the races. Time and time again, and you have to give credit to Lisa Pechersky. She had so many opportunities cutting in from the right, just finding the right space, knowing where to be, being open, waiting for the ball. It finally paid off in stoppage time in the first half. Beautiful switch of play again from Quinn. Pechersky put it into the far corner over the goalkeeper.
That also fooled her.
Yeah. So that was the goals. Everything was in the first half. The second half, you had the Roses start to kind of get into the game, especially when you had all the changes that Rise were making. They really moved into a very low block, basically packing their 18-yard box. It got a little hairy there for about the last 10 minutes, but then when stoppage time came on, they were easily able to.
Montreal had that one chance, like McCaslin had to make that save from a tight angle.
McCaslin played very, very well.
Yeah,
McCaslin still leads this league in saves.
Yeah. Couldn't get that third goal, but they got the win, and that's what.
It was interesting because we were talking afterwards, Quinn and their ability for passing, for kind of being that playmaker from the middle of the field. Interestingly enough, the 2 assists they got in that game is only 4 on the season.
They missed some time with injury, which
they did on 2 different occasions, but it felt like only 4 assists. Like it felt like I thought they had more. Anyway, what this also does is they take quite a big leapfrog. They jump over Montreal and Ottawa Rapid to now sit in second place. They're 6 points behind AFC Toronto. They have a game in hand. So that top of the table, it's not out of the realm of possibility yet. Now I know NSL doesn't have a trophy for winning the league, or the regular season of the league. That doesn't happen yet. Obviously, you take a look at the CPL. They didn't add in a trophy for their top of the league until a couple of years into the season. Have to wait and see if MLS or NSL decides to do anything similar. But 7-match unbeaten streak. It is the longest undefeated streak in league history.
Well,
and I believe, if I'm right, this now marks the Rise beating every team in the league.
I believe you are right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the case. That Montreal was the last one. They had tied. Interesting enough, we talked with Anya Heinemoller back in, I think it was July, just before they had the break. And it was a 0-0 game against Roses at Swangard. That was a phenomenal game. And I remember talking to her, like it's weird we say this about a 0-0 game. And she said, this is my team now. Like she said, like she agreed with everything. She said, this is the team we've been waiting for. They lost the next game after that, but since then they've been off to the races.
Yeah, I think that was a turning point because
that was the turning point.
Since that game, the football has really improved from the Rise.
Absolutely. And obviously, we always knew this season was going to be a bit of a strange one because it is the first season. They had this 11, 12-week preseason where you're still bringing in players, like 3 days before your first game. Like seasons like this don't normally happen. They just don't. So it's going to be interesting to see what do you do when you actually know what your roster is going into next season. But I think the Rise are hitting their stride at the right time. And on top of that, they just added some firepower.
Yeah, you and I both reported on this the day before it was announced, and I don't think anyone expected this. Latifa Abdu signed from Montreal Roses. Apparently she wanted out of there because, due to tactical fit and all that. And oddly enough, she was presented at halftime against the Roses, but there is a clause in her contract where she cannot play against Montreal for the rest of the season. I believe that includes playoffs.
I believe so too. This is an odd one because they're calling it the first interleague transfer in NSL.
I believe this is.
It's not really, though. She was released from her contract back on August 20th and then signed essentially as a free. Now, I get there's a gentlewoman's, I don't know what you want to call it, but there's that agreement where, yes, she will not play against Montreal for the duration of this season. It's classy. It's a classy move. It's an unnecessary move. You didn't have to do it to a player that essentially had no contract. But I also am trying to figure out, why did she not fit in Montreal's system when she was the third highest goal scorer in the league?
Yeah, that is very intriguing. They get the firepower. Rise get the firepower. It's their game. But
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe something happened behind the scenes, but
I feel there's more to the story. I feel that it's more that we're never going to get. But yeah, it does feel like there's something else.
Yeah, it's his personal goal. She wanted to continue her career in an environment better suited for her personal goals and playing style.
You know what? The fact that she was able to go to the Roses hierarchy and they came to an agreement, I'm happy with.
Yeah.
But when players kind of do this and you're contracted, it does make me wonder what's going on. It does make me wonder about a little bit about the mentality of the player. All of that has absolutely nothing to do with it because, I can probably just projecting, something on this. But right now, I'm going to be waiting to see how she comes in to the squad and how that affects the squad. I'm waiting.
What she can do.
I'm going to say it has the potential to be a great move.
Yeah, given the Rises are very attacking and transitional basis.
Yeah.
Helps. I mean,
for someone that is wanting to make good runs into the box and receive the ball kind of at the last minute, this is your team.
Yeah. This team has firepower, and we just added a bit more.
Absolutely. All right.
Calgary
across the
Wild
pond.
next. On Saturday,
Yeah.
another big game.
I will
I'll
be
be a
there
small
again.
part of this one. And I can't wait to see what the Rise can do if they can make it 8. Lucky number 8.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you spoke to Casey Stoney when she was here in Vancouver
Yeah,
last week,
that's right.
and
Really,
she was asked about like the upcoming friendly window, if there are any competitive matches in the near future.
well, right now, based on the calendar that we have, we know that they have a couple of competitive matches against Japan in Japan, but that's not until late November, early December. So we asked her if there was anything for the October window. She said they are working on something. The goal is to have a couple of matches in that, or not a couple, but one or two matches in that window as well, but nothing has been announced.
No,
She did say
wait.
that the ones that they are working on would not be in Canada. They would also be away matches as well.
That makes sense.
Keep that in mind. The one thing I did ask her is, I mean, other than the Pinatar Cup, which isn't really considered, I mean, it's an invitational trophy of 4 teams. It's not really considered competitive matches. Casey Stoney hasn't coached a competitive match yet.
Yeah, it's all
Team Canada. And right now on the schedule, there wouldn't be a competitive match until next September when World Cup qualifiers start. So I asked her if there was anything coming on with that, because one of the things is She Believes Cup has been announced for this February. She did say that she didn't confirm it, but she did everything possible to say Canada will be in She Believes Cup. So it's not on paper yet, but there was a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah, Canada will be in She Believes, which I think is phenomenal. Canada needs to be playing those competitive matches, and we need those competitive matches with a coach who, I mean, she's going to be in the job for over a year before that ever happens, and you needed something heading into World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah, they need competitive matches.
Yeah, so
and
very, very
for
happy
a coach
to see
to
that.
be here for over a year.
Yeah, and we talked with her for amongst a bunch of other stuff too. Players that are injured right now and how they might slot into lineups, whether it's going to be with what happens in October or we have to wait till November, December. Talked about players that because of injuries she still hasn't even seen yet. She mentioned Khadija Buchanan, who she's obviously in contact with, but hasn't seen on the pitch. And then we talked about just NSL in general and how much easier having a domestic league makes her job, where instead of going halfway around the world to scout 1, maybe 2 players if you're lucky, you can go to an NSL game and you can scout 5, 6, 7 players that are in a match. She is currently on an NSL tour right now, not only looking at players, but talking to staff. Obviously, she says nobody knows their own players better than staff, but also talking about the Canadian landscape. What does Canada soccer need to support women coming into the game? And one of the big things she talked about was increasing the player pool. Obviously, having a domestic league does that. You have players that hadn't really had the opportunity before to play professionally that are now getting that opportunity. Holly Ward is a great example of that, and now it has jumped into the women's national spotlight. But it's not just yet. If you're going to increase the player pool, the one thing you have to do is you have to double the number of youth players. You have to double the number of young girls that are getting into the game. And so it's talking to clubs who know their geographical area and try to figure out, okay, what can we do to support this and help with this? And that is really what Casey Stoney has been working on in the past while.
That's good to hear. That's right. Holly Ward was pretty much an unknown a few months ago until,
she was playing with, I believe she was still Whitecaps Girls Elite, now Rise Academy, but signing with the Rise was her first professional contract.
Yeah, and before that, University of Texas, I believe. I can't remember. It was in Texas.
Yeah.
And speaking of young women's players, Vancouver Rise Academy will be playing in the Women's Champions Cup.
That's true.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Yeah, I believe. I can't remember when it was. Just try to look here.
Yeah, they played tonight. Washington Spirit, 4 p.m.
Okay, yeah, live on One Soccer, CONCACAF Go, and YouTube.
Yep.
So you can essentially watch it for free. So let's move over to Europe. The European transfer, well, the English transfer window is done. But before that, some games. Chelsea won 2-0 against Fulham. Was that the greatest performance by Chelsea? No. But am I happy to win? Yes, because a win's a win. And good teams, even when they don't play great, they still find ways to win. And now a lot of people are going to be saying, "Oh, the VAR saved Chelsea." Kind of have to agree with that. The first one, though, I think they caught the call right because Josh King's goal was disallowed because another Fulham player stepped on Trevor Chalobah's foot. Because how is Chalobah supposed to defend if he got his foot stepped on? And that's what the VAR pretty much argued. So I think they got this one right. And the player turned. Yeah, he didn't see Chalobah, but you step on a guy's foot. That can't happen.
I'm going to say they got it wrong just because it's Chelsea.
Yeah, I think they got this right, but they got this call wrong. João Pedro apparently got his hand on the ball in the box. That should have been a penalty. I think they got this one wrong. And speaking of João Pedro, this guy was everywhere. He was defending. He was making clearances in the box. He was trying to start transitions. And, of course, he did what he does, score goals. Off the Enzo Fernandez corner in like 8 minutes of stoppage time, he heads it in. And this guy with headers, man. Pinpoint. And, my God, like, this guy just can't stop scoring right now. That's like 7 goal contributions in 6 games or something like that. And he also got called up for Brazil, so that's well-deserved. Hopeful for the World Cup next year for Brazil. Enzo Fernandez didn't have the best game. He looked slow. Well, he's never really was a fast guy. He looked sluggish, but he got the assist on João Pedro's goal, and he scored himself. He scored a penalty late in the game. I don't know why he's taking penalties. Should be João Pedro, but at least he scored it. Tossin and Chalobah looked kind of shaky in the first half, but they got better as the game went on, especially Chalobah. So, got the clean sheet. A win's a win. Good on Robert Sanchez for stepping up when he needed to be. And Chelsea, along with Liverpool and Crystal Palace, are the remaining undefeated teams in the Premier League. So, the transfer window. So, Xavi Simons, after all that, after all that speculation, after all that chatter, there was never a bid. Because I don't know what they were doing. Of course, the whole thing with Nkunku that took forever. Yeah. There are other names apparently, but Xavi Simons waited for Chelsea, no bid, so he goes to Spurs. Thanks. So good job, Paul. Good job, Lawrence. They got mugged off by Spurs. Well, you can't really call it a mug or a hijack because there's no bid, but still.
There's no bid. This wasn't an easy situation between Spurs and Arsenal.
Yeah. And the alternative, Ferran Torres, yeah, he didn't want to leave Barcelona. So that's 0 for 2. It's just the situation was handled so poorly. Linked for weeks. The guy wanted Chelsea. He waited. No bid. And then he goes to a rival. I can't blame the guy for being impatient. So I'm not really slandering Xavi Simons for going to Spurs because there was no bid.
Yeah.
And then the alternative, who did Chelsea sign? They go to their feeder club, their favorite place, Brighton, to sign a 21-year-old Argentinian winger named Federico Buonanotte. Don't know much about this guy, but he's apparently also played for Leicester. This is going to be, he's basically going to be a backup 10, an extra winger. So, it's a loan deal of all things. Odd, a very odd signing. There's no option to buy either. So this is just def. Yet they spent $40 million on def for Alejandro Garnacho, who's confirmed. And for the love of God, he better prove everyone wrong. And I'm really hoping he scores against Man United when they go to Old Trafford in October, because that would be hilarious. And yeah, as I said, Nkunku, he's off to AC Milan for 40 million euros. Too bad he got injured in his first year because he would have thrived under Pochettino. But if it weren't for that injury, Cole Palmer wouldn't have gotten the minutes, and he just didn't work under Maresca. So all the best to him. Too bad it didn't work out here because I had such high hopes. Ben Chilwell he's gone. His 200K a week wage gone. He's going to Strasbourg. So Chelsea pretty much sold them to themselves. And all the best to him. It's never the same after his ACL injury. Used to be one of the best left backs in the world, but he needed a fresh start elsewhere. So he's off to Strasbourg. So technically, he's still part of the Chelsea organization, but in France. And this whole thing with Nicholas Jackson. This was just crazy.
Yeah.
So apparently, a 15 million euro loan fee, which was a record, with an 80 million euro buy option to Bayern Munich, off because Liam Delap got injured against Fulham and will miss 6 to 8 weeks. So Chelsea want him back, but Jackson refused to fly back to London. And then they recalled Mark Guew from Sunderland. And people were wondering, are they going to use Guew and Jackson and Pedro? And then Jackson deal goes through. Fabrizio Romano tweets, "Here we go again. I have never seen that before. Here we go again." I don't understand why the deal, they could have just recalled Guew back like in the first place instead of just making Jackson nearly fly back to London.
I think it was the fact that Chelsea got scared or wondering how many strikers they're going to have after the injuries.
Yeah. So Jackson is going to Bayern Munich for a loan with a potential option. Too bad it didn't work out.
I think it's good for Jackson because and for Bayern because it gives him that option if next year Harry Kane decides to leave.
Yeah, and he's the backup to Harry Kane.
Yeah.
To learn from. Then one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah.
Sure, there were the misses, the boneheaded red cards, but he had some of his moments at Chelsea. Could have been something. I would have loved to see a Joao Pedro Nicholas Jackson link up, but just I guess with the lap now in the fold, they wanted him out of there. All the best to him. But a move that didn't work out, Tyree George, the young winger, his permanent move to Fulham collapsed at the last minute, so Chelsea have 1,000 wingers. I don't think he'll barely get any minutes with Neto, Estefao, Garnacho, and Gittins ahead of him. I like him. I'm glad he stays for Def, but I feel bad for the guy because he deserves minutes. Axel Disasi, he's staying because he refused to go out on loan to several Premier League clubs. We know Sunderland and Bournemouth were interested, but I think there are a few others.
No, he'd be part of the bomb squad.
Yeah, he's part of the outcasts. And you know who else is? Raheem Sterling and his 325K a week wage. Yeah, nobody wanted the guy. I can't blame him.
Yeah, why? I mean, this guy is not going to play again unless he massively lowers his wage demands and he accepts basically any team that decides to take a hit on him.
Yeah, and that's 325 pounds a week for running with the reserves.
Yeah.
His only options now are the Saudi Pro League, which he doesn't want, and the Turkish League because their windows are still open.
Yeah.
I doubt anything happens with him. Disasi might decide to go to Turkey or Saudi. Though I think he's rejected Saudi before, but with Sterling, he's not getting in the first team. He's gonna play with the reserves, with PL2, or just sit in the stands, earning his 325K a week. Hey, you earn that much money for doing nothing. Can't blame the guy, I guess.
Yeah.
I wish I could earn that much money for being useless. So, overall, Chelsea made £314 million in sales, which is a Premier League record. Net spend of $4 million. So, good business all around. Overall, kind of an average window because they did not address the center back situation. I am very worried that if Tosin or Chalobah gets injured, Chelsea are thin. I don't trust Badiashile either, and I don't think Disasi's getting back in the team. And goalkeeper. Sure, Robert Sanchez has shown some improvement, but I'm really ticked off with the way they handled the Mike Magnon thing. So Paul
True.
Winstand and Lawrence Stewart fumbled Michael Elise, Victor Osimhen, Mike Magnon, and Xavi Simmons in 2 years. Well done. So back to the football, I guess. Maybe Chelsea won't win the league this year. I don't think they will, but finish top 4 and win a trophy. That's what I hope. So Xavi Simmons is a Spurs player, but they didn't win their game he was presented in.
No, it was an absolute pitiful game. You really, there's not a whole lot to say. Spurs absolutely dominated possession and had one shot on target.
Yeah,
I feel bad for Vicario. He had no chance in the goal. The shot from Evan Nilsson was deflected off a Spurs defender. I believe it was Romero, and ended up just kind of lobbing over Vicario after he'd already committed to the save. And the thing is Bournemouth could have had more. Vicario stood on his head. Best player on the pitch. It was a lackluster performance. It was a frustrating one to watch because it's a game that they should have. It felt like they just weren't prepared for it.
And when you have all that possession and get one shot on target,
I know. Yeah. Nothing much to say other than, you know what? Get games like this out early. Know that you need to show up. So I'm hoping that we see a much better performance after the international window. Spurs have also put out their list of players that are going to be registered for the Champions League phase. Not included. The players that have been excluded from that list: Mattis Tell, Kota Takai, not surprised.
He's injured.
Is Basuma, no surprise.
Yeah.
Radu Dragusin. Would have been maybe possible depth. James Madison, no surprise. Dejan Kulishevsky, no surprise. Unfortunately, his injury is still going to take a bit. So, yeah, but Mattis Tell was a big surprise to me. I'm betting that did not go down well with the player. Yeah, that's kind of the talk of Spurs social media right now, is the fact that he is not in that UCL squad. So my guess is hopefully that means he gets a lot of Premier League minutes, because they're going to have to make it up to him somehow, especially after he just signed that brand new deal. Speaking of deals, a couple of players they did get over the line, as you said. Xavi Simmons from RB Leipzig, £51.8 million. Great signing, especially after they were burned on players that could play either that wing or slide into a number 10 role. Xavi Simmons is a great fit for that. And then on deadline day,
everyone was surprising.
We kind of figured Spurs were done. If anything, maybe get out a few players more that would go out on loan. Out of the blue, with PSG, Randall Colomwani on loan for the duration of this season. There is no buy clause, which is a bit surprising as well. But this is a player that was attached to, I don't know, you name a top club, his name was attached to it, because we knew that he did kind of want out of PSG because he was on the periphery, but is a player with massive, massive potential. Getting this done on deadline day, nobody saw this happening. And all of a sudden,
this caught me off guard too.
It took a good transfer window and made it a great transfer window for Spurs. You got to be very, very happy with what they did. I still wish they would have brought in a center back, but as far as I know, Luka Vuskovic is going to be staying. Oh, no, he did go out with Hamburger on loan. So, yeah, I do wish they would have brought in a center back that would have been playing with them. We'll just have to wait and see if that bites Spurs in the ass, because I hate to say it, it has in the last 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, the Spurs actually got most of their business wrapped up fairly early, which is really weird to say. But, it wouldn't be a Denny Levy transfer window without something on deadline day. So here we go.
Yeah, he loves those deadline day deals. And
Oh,
Randall
yeah.
Colomwani of all people, but good for striker depth, I guess. Striker competition.
Not only that, but he can play on definitely striker competition, can play on the wing. I think
play on the wing.
you're going to have him, Richarlison, and Solanke really compete for that. I know Richarlison has taken the reins so far, done rather well with it, but Spurs are in a lot of competitions this year. They want to have that depth. They don't want a situation of last year where they end up having to like pick and choose what competitions they're going to care
Archie
about.
Gray was playing like 3 different positions.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Again, makes me worry about that center back role. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I guess both our clubs, center backs.
Yeah.
Don't worry. So,
and the other one I need to mention is there is still every expectation that Yves Bissouma is going to be leaving the club. There was an offer, I believe, from Fenerbahce. He basically it died in the water, but they're still waiting on multiple offers from either Turkey and Saudi Arabia. There's still every belief that he will be leaving the club.
Yeah, he needs to get out of there.
Yep. Also, Spurs just don't want him right now. Attitude stuff. So,
especially him being late.
Yeah.
For big games. Yeah. So, Isak finally got his big move to Liverpool after pretty much throwing a tantrum.
Yep.
125 billion pounds. Liverpool broke their own record, which was the Florian Wirtz deal. Again, I'm not even mad. That's impressive because Liverpool's attack just looks so dangerous. Wissa also got his move to Newcastle from Brentford. Brentford pretty much lost everybody. They also signed Nick Woltemande.
Yeah.
That 20-year-old striker who looks massive.
Out of Germany somewhere,
right? Forgot which. Mönchengladbach, I think.
Oh, okay.
Woltemande.
And then you also had Eucharis as he moved from, Sporting over to Arsenal, who, as he was waiting for the move to materialize, refused to train.
Yeah. Woltemande played for Stuttgart. Sorry.
Oh, Stuttgart.
Yeah, Eucharis also refused to train.
So you have these 3 players that basically go on strike to force getting out of the contracts they signed in good faith. And then you have a player like Marc Guéhi who doesn't do this. Publicly, everyone knows he wants to move, plays for his team, scores for his team.
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
The deal collapsed at the last minute.
This transfer window rewarded players that behaved poorly.
Yeah.
And I have that kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, and a guy who handled it well, like Marc Guéhi, didn't get his move.
Yeah. And since the closing, Crystal Palace has tried to hold renewed contract talks with Marc Guéhi, and he's saying, nothing's changed. I am not signing a new contract. So all that's happened is Crystal Palace is now losing out on a transfer fee because a deal is going to be made for this player in January for him to leave in the summer.
Yep.
On a free.
And I think Liverpool go back again.
And Liverpool absolutely goes back.
They delayed
the inevitable.
And it was also because Crystal Palace couldn't find a replacement for Guéhi.
I get it, especially with Crystal Palace also going to be in, Europa Conference?
Yeah.
So I get it. They need a player that can play there. They also need a leader. But you had an entire transfer window where you knew this was coming. You also knew that this player was not going to be signing a new contract with you. I'm sorry, but this is on your scouting. This is on your front office. This has nothing to do with the player, and this has nothing to do with other clubs looking to poach that player. That's fair game in a transfer window. You have to expect it when you are a club of Crystal Palace's stature. The player handled himself exceptionally.
Yep.
I think this speaks to we already knew the skill of this player. This speaks to the class of the player. This tells you who he is on and off the pitch compared to Isak, Wissa, Eucharis. Tells me who they are on and off the pitch. Great players, but I have questions if they're on my team.
Yeah. Hey, Axel Disasi was available for Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Bid for him. Ho ho. Or any
interesting thing is you take a look at all these transfer windows done, or all these transfers done by British clubs. 3.19 billion pounds spent in the English transfer window, breaks the record from 2023, which was, I want to say it was around 2.4, 2.5. Not only breaks the record, smashes it in pieces.
Yep, Liverpool, Chelsea definitely played a big part.
Liverpool almost had a $500 million themselves. It was over 400. That's insane.
Yeah, Liverpool just went off.
Yeah.
And Jamie Carragher put out an article for some outlet. He's like, "Oh, Liverpool are the underdogs against the bigger spending teams." What underdogs? He won the Premier League.
What bigger spending teams?
I don't know. If Chelsea signed Isak, he'd be complaining.
Yeah. I don't know what to make about that. First off, nobody spent more than Liverpool.
Nobody spent more than Liverpool.
Everybody
wanted Liverpool.
Yeah, they were the expectation to win it. Most of the articles I'm seeing is like, do we start etching the trophy already with their name?
Yeah. Isak wanted Liverpool. Gay wanted Liverpool. Everybody did.
I hope that there is competition this year. I just don't know who it's going to be. I still don't trust Man City. I think they're going to have a better year, but I don't trust them to challenge.
Yeah, especially they lost against Brighton.
And Arsenal is Arsenal. They're going to be.
And Chelsea have questions.
Yeah,
at the back.
And Newcastle just had a poor window.
Well, at least Newcastle signed some guys.
Yeah,
Wissa and Wout Monday.
And not the window they wanted.
Yeah, because their top choices rejected them.
Yeah. Liverpool is flying right now. They're flushing funds. They are going to be a very difficult team to beat.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that. Like it's going to be tough. I hate that you already kind of know who is going to be the name on the trophy at this stage of the season, but that's what happens in a league where you don't have salary caps or parity. That's just the way it is. So it's not like it's.
Well, we talked about it last week. We don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Not like an MLS. Like right now, we still don't know who wins MLS Cup.
Exactly. That's one of the reasons why MLS is nice. There's a lot of other reasons to hate MLS and their instruments that they have in roster construction. There's a lot of stupidity that goes on there, but then there's this other side, right? So it's tough to find that happy medium.
Yeah, and English clubs pretty much went off. This window, it was an entertaining window.
Yeah.
Maybe not the deadline day people expected. No, I guess other than Liverpool, no huge bombers. But
yeah.
Yeah.
The big moves are ones that we already expected. I would say the most surprising one was Moane.
Yeah, that one just came out of nowhere.
It did, yeah. And it's only a loan, right?
Yeah. So yeah, overall, summer transfer window never fails to disappoint.
What do you think about Erik ten Hag? Signed by Bayer Leverkusen to be their coach back in May, has a transfer window, gets 3 games, and is sacked.
That quickly, which is very surprising.
I mean, it feels like it wasn't a good fit to begin with, but the fact that he had one game in Europe. In the Bundesliga, they've got a draw and a loss.
Didn't do well preseason.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get why they think give him time at least till December or October.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, it hasn't been a great start, but it's 3 games. 3 games with a roster that was still changing. And
a roster that's been decimated. Only one player, apparently, from the Leverkusen team that won the Bundesliga is still there, and that's Alex Grimaldo.
Yeah. Bizarre.
One of the most bizarre sackings we've seen in recent years since the Tuchel Chelsea sacking.
So apparently they're looking at Xavi.
Apparently he doesn't want to coach again, from what I've read.
All right. Well,
given the fact that he already had his dream job.
Who knows? Maybe Mourinho needs a job, right?
Hey, I like to see him in Bundesliga. He hasn't really coached there.
No, he hasn't. It's true.
And yeah, he's been linked to Man United too. Yeah, that's not happening.
No. You still are seeing the links of oh my god, like kind of the name's escaping me. Former French player, coached Real Madrid.
Zidane.
Thank you. You still see his name being attached to Manchester United. I got to be honest. Who in their right mind, unless you are a lower league coach looking for your big break, who in your right mind as an established top tier coach wants to go to Man United? The name, that history and all of that, they're so far removed from that.
Yeah.
It's a different team.
Yeah, and they're still trash.
Yeah.
They lost to Grimsby Town who played in League 2.
Yeah.
In the EPL Cup second round.
Yeah.
And
now,
they barely beat
Grimsby
Burnley.
has come under a bit of fire. Apparently, they fielded a player that was late on the team sheet by a minute. There's nothing going to happen. I think they're getting fined like £20,000, which the amount of money that they're probably got for winning that game is probably outweighs that. So,
yeah. Barely beat Burnley over the weekend.
No, right.
One of the goals was an own goal. And, of course, Bruno Fernandes bails him out with a penalty stoppage time. Burnley.
Yeah.
So, Ruben Amorim still doesn't know what he's doing. Refuses to adapt, makes weird subs. And there's been memes about him, playing with the magnets against Grimsby, which you've probably seen already.
Well, like just hiding in the dugout during the penalties. Like, there's no possible way to make yourself look smaller and more afraid.
Yeah, and more clueless.
And like I said, I don't think. Yes, it's an Amorim problem in terms of the optics, but I don't know who you put in that position that transforms Man United without transforming the club from the top down first.
And plus, Amorim took the job nearly a year ago. He came into a tough situation, but
he hasn't done himself any favors.
He hasn't done himself.
Don't get me wrong; he has not done himself any favors. But yeah, it was a bad situation.
He's only part of the problem there.
He's become part of the problem, absolutely.
Yeah, and also managers, choosing Man United, players too, like Sesko, Bemo, Cunha.
Yeah,
they chose Man United,
and Sesko can't really even figure out in the lineup yet.
Yeah, Bemo, hot and cold, Cunha. Okay. Bruno Fernandes is still bailing his team out.
And there's rumors of him taking off to MLS.
Yeah.
I mean, not right now, but
not right now, but
some of that. But
hey, they did sign that new goalkeeper, Man United.
Yeah.
They tried to go for Emi Martinez, but they didn't want to pay his $200K a week wage.
They ended up going with was it Lemens?
Yeah.
The interesting thing, though, is this is a goalkeeper that was also bypassed by teams like Sunderland. So there's question marks on this goalkeeper.
Yeah, because Onana's not. Onana just looks.
And apparently Onana wants a raise.
After his performances? No way.
Yeah.
Are you going to see what he did against Grimsby and get in the penalty shootout? Couldn't even save one.
Manchester United is a team that, you know what it is? They're the team that you do a football manager save to revive.
Yeah.
But that doesn't work
FIFA save.
Unless you're Sunderland with like the transfer window Sunderland had. That's crazy. But
yeah, so that club is just so dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that we'll end it there. That concludes this week's episode. Tell us what we're doing right. Tell us what we're doing wrong. Follow me on Twitter, Joshua00, Nathan at Enduric, podcast at Terminal City FC. We're also on Blue Sky as well, so just search our names. So is the podcast. Jump Terminal City FC on YouTube and Instagram for some more content there. And since we're getting a lot of listeners, we'd like to put out a word again. We are looking for a sponsor or two. So you can reach out at terminalcityfcpodcast@gmail.com. If you're interested, or if you know someone, or if you own a company, we'd like to be sponsored. Or you can DM us on Twitter. That's also very easy to reach. And check out all our writing for Area 51 Sports Network, covering the rise, Canadian national teams, Whitecaps once they're back in action. NHL season is on around the corner, so we're wrapping up the coverage there. NFL is starting up tomorrow, so I assume we're also wrapping up the coverage, and I hope it's a good year for me in fantasy. And And yeah, enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be back next week reviewing the Whitecaps game against Philadelphia, talking about the rise and reviewing the Canada friendlies.
You got it.
So thanks for everyone who joined us live on the Area 51 Sports Network Twitter, Terminal City FC YouTube, and whoever listened on the podcast platforms. So that concludes this week's episode. Peace out.
Take care.